In this video, I'm going to show you how to graph using desmos.com. That's DESMOS.com. So type that into a browser. And then once you're here, there are 4 functions, scientific calculators. There's all sorts of things on this website. But for graphing, we're going to click Start Graphing. And this is a little bit pinched because of how I'm recording this, so you can see my notebook paper on the side and the graph. But you would type the logarithmic equation into this line where it says number 1. And I don't know if I can actually pull up my touchpad, if it'll show you my touchpad on the video or not. I don't think it will, so I think it's not even worth trying. I just found out it does show the video or show the touchpad. So you would type into here y equals, and it doesn't have to be capital, I don't know why it capitalized it, but y equals log. To get the base, you have to push shift and then dash. So wherever your dash is, you would do shift dash. That's the button that is between your 0 and your equal sign on your keyboard. So normally it's like right above your P. It's normally like right here, right here on your keyboard. Shift dash gets you that underscore, but you want to use that underscore, and that lowers it down into the base, and then you can type in that it's a base of 2. And then you use your right arrow to get out of the base, parentheses, x plus 3. The way that this does my keyboard is kind of annoying, but oh well. Right arrow to get out of the parentheses, and then type in minus 4. And minus is just using the dash or your minus button on your keypad. And that graphs it for you. Now this shows you the graph, and the nice thing about Desmos is that you can physically move this graph around and look at it, which is something that you really can't do on the graphing calculators, so I do love Desmos for that. You can see that the asymptote is at -3, and you can also see that in the equation. The x plus 3 tells us that our asymptote is going to be at -3. That moved the graph left 3. So if I've got my y-axis straight down the middle, imagine that that's straight. Your asymptote is at -3. You should draw in a dashed line at -3 so that when you draw in your graph, you aren't tempted to cross that line. Your domain is tied to your domain or to your asymptote. So our domain is x is greater than -3 because this graph is on the right side of that asymptote. To get points in Desmos, this is where it's a little bit tricky. You need to click the little wheel, the settings wheel, which says edit list, and then grab the thing that looks like a table, and it says convert to table. This converts this equation into a table, and the points that are shown in the table are shown on the graph, which is kind of helpful. So on this one, I can see the points that I definitely want to use. I want to use -2, -4, -1, -3, and 1, -2. But say I didn't have any good points, if I wanted some different points, you can go right down below this table and just start typing things in. So I could type in 3, enter, 4, enter. I think it actually starts just doing that for you. So 5, 6, you can just keep hitting enter, and you can get a whole bunch more points on that table. So you have an endless number of points. And if you wanted to say, oh, I don't know, what if I wanted to graph the point with an x value of -2.5? It would tell you that that was -5. So -2.5, -5, that would give us a point that we never could get on our graphing calculator. So that's kind of cool. All right, we plot these points, -2, -4, -1, -3, 1, -2. If we wanted to, we could plot that point -2.5, -5. That would allow us to get even closer to that asymptote. On the right side, this graph is going to continue off, and you could even look and see how it continues to go up and up and up just very, very slowly. And on the left side, it gets very, very close to that asymptote, but it never crosses it. Our range is all real numbers. If you wanted to then graph a different one, you could just hit this little X and it clears it out. And now you can type your next equation in. The other thing to notice is there is a keypad at the bottom of Desmos. So if you don't know how to type something in, you can hit this little keypad and then you can go to functions. And it's kind of weird, like this first function list is trig. We don't want any of that. We don't really want stats. We're not talking about distance. Miscellaneous. Inside miscellaneous, there is log. They even have a button specifically for log base and for ln. So if you wanted to graph y equals, type in y equals, then you could go into the keypad, go to functions, miscellaneous, and you could click in log base, and it puts that template in for you so that you could fill in log base 2 of x plus 3 minus 4. So there's a couple different ways that you can enter things in Desmos. And the other cool thing is each line uses a different color. So you could put tons of graphs on here and each one would be a different color. I just put in that x equals -3. That's our asymptote. You could also click this and that makes it go away. Or I think if you right click it, no, not right click. There is a way, I think you have to click that little wheel and then this. You could tell it that you wanted that to be a dashed line. So I did that by going into the settings wheel and then clicking on the button and telling it what color I want the graph to be and if I want it to be a dotted, dashed, or a solid line. Because then this shows you the asymptote line and that graph really, really well.